U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Meyek Haakabi, shalom.
Shalom.
So first of all, I have to ask you, how did we reach a situation that Prime Minister Netanyahu needs to clarify today that Israel was not involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk?
Because there are some people in the United States that have lost their minds. This is a blood libel. It's absolutely disgusting and vicious. The level of untruth is such that it's hard even to think that you have to defend it, that you have to repudiate it. But there are people who will believe the most outrageous lies. And I guess we should learn from history that this is not something new, but it is new in the U.S. It's something that we're not used to seeing, is these extraordinary untruths being said about Israel as if Israel is to blame for anything in the world. I'm wondering what's next. Did they kidnap the Lindbergh baby in the 20s? Did they bring down the Hindenburg in the 30s? I mean, where does this stop? And it's really, really disgusting, but I'm very glad the Prime Minister addressed it. I know some people probably thought he doesn't need to address that, but truthfully, you got to push back on this nonsense.
And there's the point to add that Charlie Kirk was a true friend of Israel.
True friend of mine. I've known Charlie since he was 19. In fact, just before I came to live in Israel, he took the time slot for my daily television show. And so I went to Phoenix at his studio. We made the handoff official. We visited I was the first interview on his new show, and he was the last interview on my closing out the show. And Charlie had been on my shows over the years many times. A brilliant, brilliant young man. When I got the news, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, my phone started ringing, and I got word that he had been shot and didn't know the condition. And then about, I don't know, an hour later, then I found out that he had died, and it was something I couldn't process for a while, because why do you kill Charlie Kirk? He was one of the most civil, kind, thoughtful people. He would go and he would let anyone challenge him. That was the whole point, but he did it with respect and decency. So I don't know what the shooter thought he was going to do, but I'll tell you what he has done. He has awakened a sleeping giant in the United States, and not just among young conservatives, but he's awakened a sleeping giant, even among people who are a little left of center. But they know that you don't murder somebody because he says something you don't agree with. And one of the things I'm happy to see is that schools and governments, television networks, are not putting up with the nonsense where people who work for them are celebrating the murder of a young father and husband. And people are being terminated for this, and they should be, because if I'm let's say a patient of a doctor, and the doctor is saying, I'm glad he's dead, I don't want to go to that doctor. I don't want my child in a school where the teacher celebrates the murder of somebody. So we're seeing some real reaction that needed to happen.
Now, regarding the war in the Gaza Strip, the war is continuing, intensifying. What does President Trump really want? The end of the war quickly, or to open the gates of hell?
He wants both. He wants it to end quickly, but he's willing to do what it takes to make sure that what he has said repeatedly will happen, and that is all hostages have to come out. Not a few, not dribbled out, they all have to come out. And that Hamas can't stay, they can't govern, they need to understand they're done. And the president has been consistent. I mean, even before he took office in January, but certainly ever since, he has made it very clear. Those are the criteria. Hamas isn't going to stay, they're not going to have a role in the future of Gaza, and all the hostages need to be released. He's been instrumental in getting some of them out, but he wants all of them out.
Do you think that President Trump's online tweets, threats, posts scare the Hamas at all?
It should, because they should look at what happened to Iran and understand that he is not a person who just makes empty threats. I think maybe the Iranians thought he was making an empty threat when he said they're not going to have a nuclear weapon and they're not going to be able to enrich uranium. They found out late one Saturday night that he meant what he said, and he said what he meant. He made a promise, he kept a promise, and I think they would be wise to understand that you don't trifle with him.
Now, nations of the world are working together to promote the establishment of a Palestinian state. How should Israel respond? How should the U.S. respond to this?
Well, the U.S. has responded forcefully and very strongly in condemning this nonsense. It's a stunt. It absolutely has no validity. It first of all violates Oslo, so it's not going to happen. Secondly, it's not going to happen because the UN can't just declare a state. You just don't do that. And thirdly, it's having the opposite effect of whatever the Europeans and the Palestinians thought was going to happen. Three things did, in fact, take place. The first, Hamas ended negotiations. As soon as this was out there in the public, they were thinking, hey, we're winning. We're going to end up getting a Palestinian state, and we don't even have to surrender. The second thing that happened was this impasse between the Palestinian Authority and Israel over financial issues, the remittance of tax money, correspondent banking, excess shekels. It froze. It just completely ended those discussions. And I'd been going back and forth between Ramallah and Jerusalem trying to bring some breakthrough on this because honestly, nobody wants to see the complete economic collapse of the PA for the simple reason you don't want desperate people doing desperate things. And the wrong people were getting hurt. It was the cab drivers, it was the store owners, it was bankers and people that are not affiliated with the government of the PA.
Do you trust the Palestinian Authority of today?
It doesn't matter whether I believe in them or not. That's what's running that particular part of Judea and Samaria. And you don't want them to have a financial collapse without something in its place. That there's no, and frankly, I don't know that Israel was out there cheering for a complete financial collapse, but what they are cheering for is for them to stop the pay for slay and to stop the curriculum in the schools that teach Palestinian children to hate Jews and to grow up wanting to kill them.
Now, many are saying that now, as a response to this action towards a Palestinian state, it's time for sovereignty, Israeli sovereignty in Judea and Samaria.
Well, that was the third thing that I said is the direct result of all this nonsense talk from the Europeans and the PA. In addition to the financial and in addition to the Hamas negotiations ending, it was that it really has sort of given Israel a sense of, well, if you're going to do this, we might as well declare sovereignty over parts of Judea and Samaria. And I don't think that's what Macron of France intended. I don't think that's what the Brits wanted. But that's what they're going to get because they've just continued to push for this. The U.S. has really been strong. Our voices have been full-throated in saying, stop this nonsense. And it's resulted in some really fractured relationships with our allies. It has resulted in us putting sanctions on some of the people at the ICC. We will continue to take strong actions. So it's not that we're just sending a strongly worded letter. We're taking legitimate actions.
So what do you think that Trump meant when he answered actually our question, Arutz Sheva, regarding sovereignty? He said there will be an announcement. That didn't happen. What is really the policy, the opinion of President Trump and his administration regarding sovereignty?
Well, there's not been an official policy released, but I think the overall attitude of the U.S. government is something I can speak to. I can't speak to a specific issue of will he support sovereignty or not. But generally, the president has been very supportive of Israel as a sovereign nation making its own decisions, what it thought it was best for Israel. And I don't see anything, and I haven't certainly been given any indication that that message has changed. As ambassador, I don't get to make the policy. I simply get to repeat it. As I tell people, I'm not the chemist. I don't make the medicine. I'm the pharmacist. I just dispense it.
Now, regarding the Abraham Accords and the issue of a Palestinian state, what will happen if Saudi Arabia, for example, will say we will proceed with the Abraham Accords only in condition that there will be also the establishment of a Palestinian state?
Well, when people say there's got to be a Palestinian state, my first response is to ask them, where's it going to be? Let me give you a map, and you draw it out for me. Tell me where it's going to be. Tell me how it looks, and how close to Israel is it going to be, and who's going to govern it? Is it going to be this current government? Is it going to be Abbas, who is now in the 20th year of his 4-year term? Is it going to be the same people like him who says if we only have 1 penny left in the treasury, we're going to spend it on the terrorists who have murdered Jews? Are we really thinking that that's someone you want to turn a new state over to, who hasn't even really fully condemned what happened on October the 7th and spoken out in a way that has legitimacy? Is that who's going to govern it? So when people say we must have a Palestinian state, I just want them to answer a few simple questions. Show me where it is on the map. How is its boundaries going to be formed? Who can live there? Who can't live there? And who's going to govern it? And what is going to be the culture of that government? Will they continue to believe that Israel should not exist and that they should have from the river to the sea.
Now, what's the truth regarding the attack in Doha? Coordinated or not?
It wasn't coordinated. It was not. And the Prime Minister has repeatedly said that it was an act that Israel did on its own, did not seek permission. It was not something that was done in concert with or as a part of a cooperative agreement with the United States, or for that matter with anyone else. It was a unilateral action on the part of Israel. He's been very clear about that. And, you know, I think the President's been clear, look, it may not have been what we would have done, but at the same time, Israel is not in any way in a position of having a fractured relationship with the U.S. It just isn't.
Now, was the President really upset following this attack?
I wasn't there, so I can't answer that. I wasn't in the room, and I don't know what the reaction was, but I know what the reaction is, and the reaction is that we don't end or even fracture or strain our relationship with Israel, nor does the President fracture or strain his relationship on a personal level with the Prime Minister. There's still a bond. In fact, if people say, oh boy, they're really upset with each other, that President Trump is upset with Prime Minister Netanyahu, then why on earth was the President inviting him to come down to Washington when he's back in the U.S. to speak at the UN and invite him to come to the White House, which means he's going to have been in the White House more than any other foreign leader by far since he took office. Nobody's even close to as many visits.
Let's end, please, Ambassador Huckabee, with a few words in honor of Rosh Hashanah, the New Year.
Let's hope the new year is marked by the hostages, all of them coming home, that I take this pin off and I never ever see it again. Because when I take it off, I'm not going to keep it as a souvenir. I will get rid of it, I will destroy it, because I don't ever want to be reminded of what these precious people have been through. And then I pray for the peace of Jerusalem, that it would be real, and that every mother in Israel can put her babies down at night and not fear she's going to have to wake them up several times and rush them to a shelter to protect them from being killed by somebody who is intent on taking their lives.
Ambassador Mike Huckabee, thank you very much. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.